I'm NichBoy and welcome to Pocket. Well, today, a first look at Crypt of the NecroDancer. And stay tuned for the end of the episode because Hingers has a special announcement. But until then, the rhythm has me. Yeah. Crypt of the NecroDancer is a roguelike rhythm game, which are two words I would not have thought would go well together, but that's why I don't make games. I just review them and make snarky comments. Who the hell thinks of putting those two things together? That person is Ryan Clark of Brace Yourself Games. Ryan, I love you deeply. Keep making games. So the basics of this game is you are in a dungeon and you need to get out. And instead of just walking or running around like you normally would in these kinds of games, you have to dance your way out, which is moving from square to square on the beat of the music. The enemies also dance with you as well. They have patterns that they move on the squares. Everything needs to be in time with the rhythm, and if you get the beat, then you start getting things like coin multipliers. If you miss the beat, then that all resets. It all sounds really simple, and it is. It's super easy to pick up and understand straight away. At first, you're just sort of bouncing around an empty room, and that seems fine because you know how to move easily to a beat, and it's almost frustrating because it feels like you're kind of going slowly. And so then you head down a hallway and you're dancing down, everything's fine, and then you encounter a room and it's filled with enemies, and you need to figure out now how to attack these enemies by dancing while they're dancing, and you can't stop. You can't stop dancing. It's like some hellish John Travolta nightmare. Like, you cannot stand still, and that's the beauty of this game, is it makes you so tense straight away because there's no time for thinking, only moving and dancing. Glorious dancing. So the whole game is built around this dance mechanic, and it's really simple. You need to dance into enemies to attack them, and every time you sort of hit an enemy, then you take away a point of their life. And this is really simple when you just look at like one blob sitting there moving sort of up and then down and then up and then down, because you go, yeah, this is fun. I can just walk up to him, hit him, and we're good. When you have 10 enemies in a room, each of them has their own dance routine. They all have a predictable pattern. Every kind of enemy works in the same way. So there are blobs that just go up and down, but then there are skeletons that jump, and then when they lift their hands up, they're going to jump towards you. There are dogs that move on every second turn and stuff like that. And you need to learn the patterns of all these enemies and keep them all in your mind while they're surrounding you, multiple different kinds of dances going on at once, and you yourself can never stop moving. And the reason that this game is so great is that the feedback loop is so satisfying because you know straight away that you're doing the right thing. As soon as you start chaining together enemies and moving on the beat, all the bricks start lighting up and flashing and the music sort of kicks in, and the game is telling you right away that you are doing a great job. And that's really rare for these kinds of games, these roguelikes, because usually when I play roguelikes, and I play all of them, you feel like you're just barely keeping ahead. You're just in front of permanent death all the time. Think of something like FTL. You never feel like you're in control there. You always go, the next thing I do is definitely going to kill me. Here, it's completely possible to master an entire level perfectly without ever making a mistake. That power is within you. You just need to get there and dance it out. And the dancing is what's going to mess you up. The dancing. And it's really terrific that the music changes every time you move to a new space and stuff, and that, in fact, music can change within a level. There are times when you're dancing on sort of like fiery red squares, and it's sort of like this more heavy metal chiptune sound, and then you jump over to an ice square and it turns into like electric sounding. So the music is adapting around you, and it just feeds back into you this sense of like progression. and it just keeps ratcheting up that tension, and you want to do really well, but they're all surrounding you, and you don't know what that dragon does, but he wants to dance with you, Nick. He's coming for you. And the terrific thing about the design is when you die, it was definitely your fault. There's no sort of like weird AI that glitched, or the level wasn't quite right, or you just, you know, ran into some bad luck or something. It sort of ticks that thing of going, oh, I know exactly what I did wrong. I'm gonna go back in there and I'm gonna try it again. As opposed to just not really understanding why the game suddenly just crushed you. And adding to that pressure thing, there's also the fact that you can't pause this. I mean, you can pause it, like I could pause it right now, but it's totally quiet. It's just dead quiet. There's no sound. And all that's highlighting is that as soon as I unpause it, there's gonna be a lot of sound and a beat that I'm supposed to be back in. I can't remember where I was up to. I can't remember if I was halfway through that beat, or it was just coming up, or I just finished one. So if you pause it, you're totally gonna lose your multiplayer. You're gonna lose your rhythm, guys, and you don't wanna lose your rhythm. And so in your hub world, there are a lot of things here beyond just dancing through the game. You can start upgrading all your equipment and weapons with your sort of shopkeepers and that sort of thing. You've got local co-op. You've got daily challenges which you can run through, kind of like Spelunky, where they have a new run for you every day for you to try. And there's also the Beastmaster, and I love this idea for this kind of game. Pretty much this is you jumping in, and you can play against basically a practice room of all the enemies that you will encounter in that zone. So for me, I'll select green slime and I jump in here. Do you want to practice against green slime? Yes. And so here, I'm just in a room that will only spawn one green slime at a time. So you can learn its rhythm and its movement. And so being able to go in and just practice against them, you can get each of their moves down, and it prepares you so much better for when you head into the dungeon for real. And so I guess for me, the takeaway here is that this game is just designed to be intensely fun. It's a roguelike, and it's already got me because I love that style of game, but everything about it is just built for you to feel satisfied and to feel like you're having a blast. I mean, there's even a shopkeeper in every level that you find. And to find him, you hear him singing on top of the music that's already playing. And so you follow his voice and you find him, and then he just sings opera to you. How awesome is that? He's singing to you, and his singing is amazing. It's great singing. I love singing. The game is singing at me. More singing in games, please. The game spent a while in early access, and at that point it did already feel polished, but it came out last week and it just has such a clarity of vision. It just feels like such a unique experience and such a complete whole of a game that I'm just having a total blast. And this is just a first look. I've only played through the first zone, but this game, the rhythm has got me, guys, and I'm staying here. I'm not doing any more work today. I'm just gonna be dancing, Pete. I'm dancing forever. But Pete reminded me we did have one more thing, so Hingers, get in here. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Excellent. How was Melbourne?
Melbourne was great. Thank you to everyone who came out and saw the shows. Good game live. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people.
It was huge.
Oh,
yeah.
It's great fun, yeah.
And so is there somewhere in Sydney I can see your stand-up if I don't want to go to Melbourne?
Yes. If you're in Sydney, I'm doing shows all this week at the Sydney Comedy Festival, so yeah, get along and see those.
But hopefully not too many shows, because you have a new show.
I do. We're really excited to announce a brand new esports show for Good Game.
Hey, that's awesome. And you're about to announce the title, but I feel like it's such a great title, we really need some build-up. So,
okay. Is that a drum roll?
It's a terrible name for an esports show. Is that a drum roll? So what is it?
We're gonna play around with a couple of things. We're currently thinking Good Game, well played, but if you think you can beat that, why don't you let us know?
If I can beat it?
Well, sure, you can have a crack.
Okay, how about Good Game Clutch?
That sounds a lot like Good Game Crotch.
How about Good Game Stream?
Do not Google that under any circumstances.
How about Good Game Esports Internet Show hosted by Michael Hingers Hing?
I mean, that is very literal. It's accurate. It is quite long, isn't it? So.
But accuracy is the most important thing. Okay, so you're still working on it, but you'll take suggestions in the comments?
Sure, let's do that.
Terrific. And when can we see the first episode?
We're going to start working on it right now.
Right now?
Literally after this. I'm going to go to that desk there and work on it. But we'll get an episode, I think, up next week.
Terrific. Well, until then, NichBoy out.
Hingers out.